we are on, when we're recording this, the last day, is this the last day of what was supposed to be an event, which beautifully grew into community. Thank you so much for being part of that at any stage that you're watching this. I'm Akila, and there's Zakia and Kelly in the order on my screen. And we wanted to take a moment to speak a little bit to what we observed and are inspired by and maybe curious about as a result of this first event turned community. So I know that one of the things that I love to see is the way that self-directedness is like a domino, it builds upon itself, or the opposite, because dominoes go flat. It's almost like it pushes up, because the minute somebody opens a space to get into a groove and people are willing to not be perfect together, there's often such a beautiful sort of symphony that comes out of it. And it's wonderful for me to see it in so many different ways. And True was one of those ways. I remember one of the groups that I'm in, we did a 2-part session. And the first one, I kind of facilitated it because I started the meeting. So I facilitated. And then after that first one, the person who started it just quite naturally filled in, and everybody was in such a flow. Nobody needed to like manage the pieces. We were just paying attention to each other, kind of like double dutch. So it's always beautiful to just witness that, especially in adulthood, in something as broad as an Earthwide gathering. And I know that that's one of the things that I'm taking away from it, just trusting what happens when we gather and are willing to gather imperfectly. Yeah, so that's it. And I wanted to pass it on to Kelly to share any elements that are present for you now as we wrap up this first session.
Yeah, I just want to thank all of you all for being involved, and just like Akila said, just showing up when you did, how you did over this past week. I know that personally it's just been really great to see this week, but then also in the weeks prior to this week, how different folks in this growing community have introduced themselves to each other, formed connections. And there are so many spots, as I was kind of just seeing on the platform, the discussions grow. And some of you all were talking like you've known each other for years and years, but you just met when you joined this platform and this community. So it's just been really beautiful to watch this grow kind of over the past few weeks. And then I just very much look forward to, although I won't be monitoring it or anything like that, because that's weird, but I just very much look forward to the idea that I know that so many of the discussions and the relationships that started here are just going to continue. And I just hope and expect really beautiful things come from it. And then also just the really beautiful ways that we challenged and checked in with each other. That has also been really great to see. And just how so many members of this community were open to new ideas, and people kind of presenting things that were maybe a little bit different than the way they thought things were. And so it's just been great being a part. It's just been great kind of hopping in on my phone every day and seeing kind of what new conversations started. And thank you all. Zakia, it's your turn.
Awesome. Yeah, so overwhelming emotion for where we are right now. But I want to step back a little and just talk about how we got here. And in my mind, it's like, how did we get here? I just find it's December now, and I almost want to say a Christmas miracle, but really more than that, because so much has happened in the past that made today possible, or this True Network possible. And so much is happening in the present in a whole range of spaces all around Earthwide, everywhere in small communities, in pockets, on podcasts, Fair of the Free Child, writings, the Growing Minds website, unschooler community groups, gatherings, all these things are coalescing. And so True is just one additional space that contributes to all that. But I think it can also, in contributing to all that, it can also make space for as much of whatever's out there to come into True, so that there can be some kind of networking, conversations, different formations of conversations that would not happen otherwise, because I am then only stuck in my South Africa group, and then there's the India group and the US group. And now we can talk around across our groups and across ideas and across concerns. And so it's interesting for me how what I initially envisioned as an urgent need for a week-long discussion to talk about what are the conversations we need for radical social change and unschooling, and that those intersections. And it was, when I think back now, it was such a schooly thing, because I had topics in mind that we must discuss. And then we got going, and then I was like, but wait, how do I get to decide these things? Let's see what people want to talk about. And then I was like, oh wait, I'm going to de-school a little bit more and step back and say, here's a space, and what do you want to talk about? And the conversations that have come out from there have been so rich. And one of the things that was really strongly coming out is, and obviously I should have known that, but I didn't, is nothing changes in a week-long gathering, or nothing changes in a 2-hour discussion. It's an ongoing process of building, networking, community connection. And so it just then evolved that this True platform, instead of just being a week-long gathering, it stays open, and the conversations continue, and the space continues to be held by everybody's in there in how they find it useful. So there are those that are lurking and just reading, and those that are initiating and organizing events, and second events and third events and conversations, and those that are doing a bit of both. And I think, so for me and for us, I think it makes sense that we just keep this open, and it becomes whatever it's meant to become, depending on what people want it to become. So having said that, True doesn't end today, but it is just part of this continuation. And the invitation is to all of you to initiate conversations, continue with the ones that have started, start new ones, bring in folks that you think would want to have these discussions. And we keep the underlying philosophy, and you read it regularly, that it is really towards radical social change, that there are philosophical underpinnings that all our discussions speak to and are supported by and support as well. And that we stay here and make whatever is meant to be and become. So yeah, that's it from me.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, and this is also a way to just like live the example together. I feel like a lot of what we are talking about, each of us in our separate circles, when we talk about change, as Zakia said, a week-long thing, there's so many nice little pockets, but this is how we make it real, by staying in community with each other, and like, experimenting, testing things out together, like we have been doing. Like Kelly said, people being willing to really say what they're feeling about a thing from wherever they are. It's so powerful when we get to do that together. I'm so grateful, Zakia, that you sent that email out saying, I have a little idea. and that we're like, oh my gosh, let's figure this out. I'm so grateful for your friendship, both of you. Y'all know that. And now we're expanding it. So if you are watching this and are not yet a part of the True Network and you don't know what we're talking about, there's definitely going to be something in the caption for you to check out, a link for you to go to, get more details, and spread the word. Yeah. Peace. Thank you.